Maverick City Music is a group of artists behind incredible worship songs like Gyra and Promises. They feature the piano prominently in many of their arrangements. Today I want to break down the common ingredients, sounds, parts, and ideas that pop up all over their music so you can sound like Maverick City Music. Let's start off by talking about common piano tones that you can hear on Maverick's albums. They often voice their arrangements in this sort of living room or in the round sort of feel. So contrasting to a band like Hillsong, where you might do these really big anthemic grand pianos with tons of space and reverb, if you're wanting to sound like Maverick City, you might lean towards more intimate and close sounding pianos. So here inside the Sunday Keys app, I'm going to go to acoustic pianos and add a sound. I'm going to stay away from these grand pianos. You could do something like a felt piano, perhaps. Which is really cool. Felt pianos are typically very intimate, so you don't have the full dynamic range. They stay pretty soft, even at higher playing intensities. So for some of their ballads, that might be exactly what you want. Other times you might want to be able to build up a little bit, but you still don't need that grand piano sound. So one of my favorite choices when I'm trying to sit in this space is a really great upright piano. And like I said, Maverick City often has this sort of living room, acoustic session plus kind of feel to their arrangements. So I'm going to pick the SK Upright Room variant, and that means there's a room reverb effect on the piano, and that's going to place this piano in that space. It's really going to nail the vibe. So check out how this sounds. So this has much more of a dynamic range. It's jangly and bright when you really dig in. So you can play those big anthem parts, but it still sounds like you've got that mid-sized upright piano in front of you. And I think that's a great way to go when you're chasing this sort of sound. Next, let's talk about ambience. A lot of Maverick City songs do feature a piano right out front in the mix, but there's typically one or two layers of ambience underneath. You can't go wrong with a warm pad for almost any modern worship artist. That's kind of true here with Maverick City as well. So I'm going to bring in a warm pad. I think I'm going to go for this gentle pad. And this pad is really pretty subdued. And I can bring up the mod wheel and get a little bit brighter. But there's just this sort of retro, sort of chorusy vibe to it, and it's not taking up tons of space. That's because I think I will probably do a little bit more rhythmic playing, especially on a song like Gyra. I'm going. If that pad is poking out on top or really responding to my playing velocity too much, that's going to actually like maybe stand on top of or subtract from what the piano is doing. So you want this sort of subtle pad. Then you can do some comping, and you're not going to be fighting against yourself. So this pad is warm, it's dry, and it's just laying underneath. But sometimes Maverick City will fill a little bit more space and do some shimmery, sort of ambient things as well. But it's typically done in very limited quantities. It's very subtle. So I am going to bring in another pad to layer with this warm pad. And I'm choosing this one because it's just a little bit sparkly, but it's really chorusy and lush as well. It's called Retro Bell Pad. I'm going to bring down the volume of both of these pads. Anytime you start layering pads together, you want to lower the volume of each one. The more you add, the quieter each one should be so that they don't end up overwhelming everything else in the mix. So here's how these two pads sound together with the upright piano. I can bring my mod wheel up and you'll hear just a little bit of sparkle come in from this bell pad. You can hear that right on top. but it's never stepping on the piano's toes, and it's not making me feel like I'm at this giant arena rock concert. The other important thing is that it still fades out very quickly. And this is really important to talk about when you're playing rhythmic piano parts, and there's tons of rhythmic piano parts across Maverick City Music's catalog. Your pads cannot hang in the air too long. That means you can't have an incredibly large shimmer effect or a super huge reverb tail, and it also means that the release times for these pads need to be pretty quick. And you can adjust that inside of your software of choice. Inside of the Sunday Keys app, I can tap settings for each sound and adjust the release right here. Typically, a second or two is okay, but any more than that, and all of your notes are going to start to run together, especially when you're changing full chords. So you have to be intentional and make sure that everything you're layering underneath your piano is not going to fight against it. So I think we're in a really good spot here. And then when I release, it fades out rather quickly. It's filling space while I'm playing, and it's not taking up or hanging in that space once I stop. That's really important for a band like Maverick City Music. Now that we've talked about the basic ingredients behind much of Maverick City Music's sound, let's dive into the extra bits of polish that take their albums to another level. So these ingredients, piano and pads, are pretty unchanging across much of Maverick City Music's catalog. Depending on the moment, and especially as their songs build dynamically, you'll start to notice extra bits of inspiration from gospel music or pop music. It often takes the form of classic digital piano sounds, a bit of B3 organ, and things like that really just enhance the core piano and pad concept. So I'm going to add in a couple different layers here, and you can hear how, though we play the same parts, they just take the production to another level. Let's start off by bringing in a classic B3 organ sound. I'm going to choose this Gospel 2 organ. Now the first thing I'm going to do is just bring the volume way down in relation to the other sounds. Again, this is just a little bit of touch, a little flourish that actually just enhances and lifts up everything else we're doing. It's not the star of the arrangement more often than not. So here's Gyra again, but with this extra little bit of B3. Maybe a little too quiet. I don't want it to be so subtle that it's might as well not be in the mix. So bring that up to about there. You just hear that character sort of swirling under the surface. Especially as we sustain, it becomes evident that it's there. But when the upright piano is in there, it's still just enhancing. In addition to some B3 organ popping up in some of their arrangements, I've also noticed that Maverick City will sometimes pull in some classic digital piano sounds from vintage synthesizers and rack modules, like the FM synth, the DX7, or the MKS20 rack module from Roland. Now, historically, these units were really popular and used in a lot of gospel music, and so my guess is that the folks producing Maverick City Music like to introduce some of those themes back in. It's a really cool sort of nostalgic feel, and it does take this piano and pad combination into a different space. So I'm going to keep the organ in there, and we're going to go ahead and play with this concept. I'm going to add into Sound Module 5. First, we could add a digital piano. So this would be like Piano 2. This is SK20 Piano 2 from the MKS20 rack module. And let's hear how that layers in with the upright piano. So layering piano sounds together is a really common technique. I'm going to bring these other ingredients down so you can hear the way that the upright piano, which is a pure acoustic piano, blends with this digital piano. Probably go a little louder there. There we go. Or we could go for something brighter. Let's try the E-Piano 1. This is from the classic DX7 FM synthesizer. We'll go right here and bring this in. Check this out. Really recognizable sound, absolutely takes that upright piano into a new space. So let's take all of these layers back in and see where we ended up. All the sounds that you've heard so far in this video have not been coming from this keyboard, but from the Sunday Keys iPad app. And as you've seen, it's really easy to browse and find the perfect sounds for whatever type of modern worship song you need to play. We'll put a link in the description so you can learn all about the Sunday Keys app for yourself. And speaking of the Sunday Keys app, if you're a Sunday Keys app user, check out the shared setlist link that we've also put in the description. If you click that link on your Sunday Keys device, it will automatically open the app and ask if you'd like to install a copy of this setlist for yourself so you can use this awesome patch. If you're a worship piano player who's just getting started or trying to grow in your skill, subscribe to the channel because we put out a new video like this one every single week to help you level up the keys position at your church. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.